once again, everything starts with your lender. And as I was mentioning, just get pre-approved and get that pre-approval letter, so that when it's time to go shopping and we actually find something, then we can put in an offer. And actually, let's take you through that. The first thing that we'll end up doing after you talk to Ross is we'll sign a buyer's agency agreement. And what that does is it just really spells out the fiduciary duties that your real estate agent has to you. I mean, it really protects you more than the broker. And I highly suggest starting with this right after you get the green light from your lender. So now the fun actually really begins because it's time to go shopping. And we'll discuss the specific, easy for me to say, criteria for the bedrooms, bathrooms, the square footage, garage space, the location that you want to be in, just everything that's important to you. We'll put all that criteria into the MLS and start sending you some homes for sale, and we'll see what pops up. And when you see something you like, let's go check it out. After we find that house that checks all the boxes, we've got really good valuation tools. You've got to make sure that your real estate agent has great valuation tools because you got to know what to put the offer in at. Yeah, I mean, people can list their house for whatever they want to list their house for, but you've just got to make sure that that offer that you're putting in and that price that you're putting down on that offer is what you want to buy the house for. So make sure that that your agent's got some experience as far as making sure what the value of this house is, and pretty close to what it'll appraise for. Sometimes sellers will make their brokers list above the value of the home. And you just got to be careful because it is a contract. When you submit that offer, if they return it to you signed, you are under contract. So this will put you under contract, and we'll start the process. So just make sure your real estate agent is on top of what the amount of the contract is. The first thing that you'll do after the contract is executed and signed is you'll put earnest money down. I've heard too many stories that all of a sudden, it's you're under contract and now the buyer just all of a sudden hears, I've got to put down $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 like in 3 days. So earnest money is basically 1% of the purchase price. So if we're looking at a $400,000 house, you're looking at around $4,000. An $800,000 house, you're looking at about $8,000. Now it's a good faith deposit, and it is deposited with the title company. And it needs to be done normally within 3 days after that contract is signed. So you've got to make sure that you've got this earnest money all dialed in and ready to go when you find the home of your dreams and the home that you want to make an offer in. Now, the earnest money is refundable under certain criteria. Most common is the inspection, the appraisal, and loan contingencies. Just make sure that your broker knows how to keep your deposit safe, and if it should fall out of contract for whatever reason, know what you're signing. This is a legal binding contract. Make sure your real estate agent goes through the offer thoroughly before you sign it. Lazy agents are everywhere. So don't let yours be lazy. So once the offer is accepted, really the real work begins right then. I mean, there's specific dates in the contract and everything needs to be done by that date. If you do it after the date, you lose. So make sure that your broker is on the ball. Having a team and a transaction coordinator, a TC, just will ensure your success in of the offer and the contract. Make sure that you receive a copy of the date calendar as well. Having that transaction coordinator just makes things so much more less stressful. You'll get a nice calendar. You can print that out and put it on the wall. You can put it all over the house if you want, just to make sure that we don't miss a date. I mean, after all, this is supposed to be fun. We're not supposed to be stressing about this stuff. That's the reason why you get a team behind you to take care of the details. So Just let your broker do the heavy lifting. The next part of the process is just reviewing all the disclosures, and make sure that your broker goes through each one carefully before you sign them. And don't be afraid to ask them to repeat or, ask questions. They're a very important part of the opening stages. So as I was mentioning before, one of the hardest and most crucial parts of the home buying process is the inspection. So this is where you hire an inspector. They come on out, they inspect the house, and they give you a detailed, complex understanding of what you're buying. So before the inspection objection deadline, you will need to go out with your broker and inspect the home. The inspector will basically uncover just all the deficiencies of the home, and this is where you have a chance to ask the seller to repair reasonable items in the home. If the home's 50 years old and there's paint chipped on a corner of the baseboard over there, it kind of is what it is. If the roof is shot or there's hail damage, that's a big expense. Your broker needs to address that with the seller's broker. Everything in between those two is just basically up for discussion. A year ago, the market was moving so fast that all buyers had to take things literally as is, no repairs. But today, buyers can ask for reasonable items. They can, sleep on it before they actually put in the offer. So after you submit everything that you object about in the home in the inspection objection, then the two brokers have to come together and figure out a resolution for everything. So the inspection resolution deadline is on the contract, normally just a couple of days after, might even be one day after. But it needs to be resolved by that date. And if it's not resolved by that date, you are out of contract. And guess what? You've got your earnest money in there. It gets really messy. Do not miss a date or deadline. So make sure you got a team behind you. So if things need to be extended, you can do that, extend those dates. You basically use what's called an amend extend. It's just a separate document that will extend dates of the primary contract. So there are ways to maneuver things and make things happen if you need more time for an inspection resolution or any date in the contract. You just got to make sure that your realtor, your broker is on the ball. So after everybody comes to a resolution, the inspection resolution is signed, and whatever is agreed upon, is agreed upon. Basically, everything needs to be completed by closing or by the terms of the resolution. So you are walking into the house as the new owner with everything completed or everything per the resolution. The next date could be, more than likely will be, the property insurance deadline. Make sure you've called your primary insurance agent. Like Brent was talking about earlier, if you need a primary insurance agent or if you need somebody to talk to about homeowners insurance, I've got some people that you can talk to. So just make sure that your broker has options for you. You'll need to confirm that you can obtain homeowners insurance by this date, and you can just pass that information off to the title company. So next is the appraisal, and that's where a licensed appraiser comes in to value the home. The appraiser has a lot of power in the transaction. If the value of the home comes in below the contract price, you could really get it below the contract price. And if it values for more than the contract price, then score. You've just got immediate equity in there. So, that's always a good thing. But just make sure that you're with somebody that understands the appraisal and can actually discuss things with the appraiser and with the seller's agent if there's a deficiency in there, because they got to sell the home for less. So at any rate, some details with the appraisal. Most times the appraisal is smooth, but every so often it gets silly. So just make sure that you're with a competent broker that will go to bat for you. Once again, I've said this a couple of times, but your broker needs to have really great valuation tools and experience to object to an appraisal. So make sure you've got a great team behind you for this part of the contract if you need them. The last major item is finalizing the loan. If the loan is not approved, you can cancel and get your earnest money back. Make sure your broker is in great communication with your lender, because if all of a sudden that loan contingency or new loan availability deadline is what it's called now, if that thing passes, your earnest money's toast. And if you're not approved for the loan, your earnest money's gone. So just make sure you got a great team behind you. You got a great broker that is competent. So after we have the clear to close from the lender before the new loan availability deadline, then basically all gets uploaded to the brokerage firms, to the title companies, and we get our final numbers. And this is one of the points that a transaction coordinator is so important, because they will make sure that everything's uploaded and in compliance so we can close smoothly. After everything's uploaded, we'll get the settlement statement, and it explains exactly to the penny where all the money's going to go. It'll also tell you exactly what you need to bring to closing financially. The lender will have this almost to the penny, most times to the penny, but every once in a while, there's some things in the inspection, or there's, just stuff that happens. The settlement statement, that is to the penny. That is the final. That is what you will sign at closing. And you just need to make sure you got a great team around you to keep you informed and make it an enjoyable process, because all this stuff can be really, really stressful, but it doesn't have to be if you've got the right team around you. So after everything's finalized, we can close. And we're almost there. So we'll basically go to the title company at this point, and we'll basically sign all the loan documents. We'll sign all the house documents, and just make sure that everything is accurate. Title company is really great with all the documents and everything, but they haven't been part of the transaction from the beginning. So make sure that your broker's competent, and just make sure that everything is accurate at the time of closing there. So it's great to have your lender there as well, in case there's something with funding, or just something that happens just right at the end right there, as well, just double checking that the numbers are exactly what you guys discussed. Then after the last autograph, you just have your brand new home. The seller signs all their paperwork, and congratulations, the home is officially yours. So it's going to blow you away how fast the process actually goes. So just make sure that you've got an awesome team behind you. You can move in immediately after both parties have signed and possession changes, because at least the way that I do contracts, I always do a delivery of deed. So when everybody is signed, it's yours. So whatever's left in there, guess what? It's yours. But we do a final walkthrough as well. I should have put that in here. Yeah, we do a final walkthrough the day of closing, just to make sure the house is ready to go and there's not a bunch of stuff in there left over, and so on and so forth. But after everybody is signed, it's yours, and that's it. You now own your first home, and you're putting that monthly payment into your financial future instead of your landlord's future. Like I was mentioning earlier, how about 100% interest by renting? All of a sudden, 5, 6, maybe even 7% interest doesn't sound so bad, huh? So the biggest question is, who's ready to buy a home and start the financial journey to freedom? Annie's got the Calendly link in the chat box. So click on that, set a time to chat, and we'll find what you're looking for.